Hello, and welcome to our lesson 2 of using our hands-on equations kits. Remember our previous lesson, we used these green and red blocks to represent positive numbers and negative numbers, and then we use these pawns. We've only used the blue ones so far to represent our variable x, y, t, whatever letter that was. So today, we are going to explore the limitations of these. So these blocks only go up to 10, but the reality is we're going to have equations that go higher than 10, far higher than 10 eventually. So what we're going to do is we are going to learn how to draw this instead of always using the blocks themselves. So let's say you have an equation, an addition equation like this. D plus 17 equals 24. Okay, so what we can do is we can draw ourselves a balance, even if we don't actually have one. And you don't need the colors, but I'm going to use them just so that you get a better idea and you can picture them in your head. So remember to use the variable, we use the blue pawn. Okay, and then for a positive 17, we had lower blocks, but let's pretend you can have any value of block you want, all the way up to 1,000,000. So for positive, I'm going to use green. But again, if you don't have colors, you can just draw a block and write the number 17 in there. And then on the other side, I have a positive 24. So I'm going to pretend that I have a 24 block and write it in. Okay, now the idea is, let's remember, we want to get this blue pawn all by itself on one side of the balance. And the way that we can do that, that means we need to get rid of that 17. And the only way to get rid of something is if you take them both off at the same time on both sides of the balance. Okay, since there is not a 17 over here, I can look at it and go, well, that's positive as well. Can I rewrite 24 so that I have 17 and something else? So that's our next move. We're going to draw another beam. And for now, this side, we're going to leave the same. We're going to have our blue pawn on there and our 17 block. But the idea is the other side needs to have a 17 block. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. Well, how do I change 24 into 17 and something else? So how do I make that an equivalent weight? Well, I got to think to myself, 17 plus what number would give me 24? So you can either think of it that way or you can subtract it. So 24 minus 17 is going to give me 7. The other way you can think about that is 17 plus 7 is the same weight as 24. And the reason we want to do this is because now you have a 17 block on both sides. So you could, if we were actually doing it, you would take each of those off at the same time. So on paper, all we do is cancel them. And what is left then is you have just the pawn here and just the 7 block here, which tells you the answer that your pawn is actually worth 7. And in the equation, what that means is that the letter D, our variable D, is worth 7, is what that means. Now, we can check that. This is our answer. We can check it by putting that back in there and going, okay, instead of D, what if I put 7 there? Is 7 plus 17 equal to 24? Well, if you count on your fingers or in your head, 17 plus 7, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Yes, 24 on this side is equal to the 24. That's the check. We know we have the correct answer. All right, let's do it again. This takes some practice. Okay, so what if it looks like this? Again, it's still an addition equation, but this time our balance is a little bit different. Our variable's on the other side. So does it matter is the question, right? Let's try. Let's set it up again. Here's our balance. You don't have to be a super good artist to draw the balance. We're going to draw a 39 block because in this drawing world, we have whatever blocks we need up to 1,000,000. We're going to draw a pawn for our T, and we're going to draw a positive 12 block. Okay. So now this time the pawn is on the right side, and we want it to be alone on that side. So in order to get it alone, I have to be able to take the 12 off. And to take the 12 off, there has to be a 12 over here. So since this is also positive, our strategy is to break 39 into 12 and something else. So it just has to equal 39. So let's draw again. Here's our next balance. Okay, and this side's still the same. The pawn and the 12 stay the same. And then the 39, we know we need a 12 block, so we're going to draw one of those in. And then what is left over from the 39? So 12 plus what number? What would this block have to be to equal 39? So you can think of it as addition, or you can go, okay, what's 39 minus 12? And maybe you don't know that off the top of your head. Wow, that just went crazy. If you don't, do not be afraid to do a little subtraction equation over here on the side. 9 minus 2 is 7. 3 minus 1 is 2. Oh, that's got to be a 27 right here. It's okay to do old school math in this, right? We're in algebra, but this is going to come back, and it's okay to do that. All right, once you have a 12 on both sides, then you can take them both off, or in our case, we will cancel them out. And that leaves us with knowing that our pawn, right, is alone, and that is equal to 27. And it's just written the opposite direction, but it really means the same thing. It's telling us that our letter T is equal to 27 this time. And again, we want to check our work to make sure we have the right answer. So you put it back up in here. You say, okay, is 39 really equal to 27 plus 12? And so you can count on your fingers, or you can line this up, right? You could do 27 plus 12. All right, 7 plus 2 is 9. 2 plus 1 is 3. Oh, yes, that works out. 39 on the left is equal to 39 on the right. And we know we have the correct answer, that T is equal to 27. Okay, that's for addition. Notice these were all addition. These are both addition problems. Now let's move on to something a little more challenging, and that's subtraction with this, okay? So subtraction equation with higher values. Remember for subtraction, with the lower values, when we had our cubes out, we use the red to indicate a negative or a subtraction, okay? And so I'm going to use the colors of the pens, but again, you don't have to have different colors. You can just make sure you use the correct symbols. So let's start with this one. Draw our balance. Okay, and B is our variable. We're going to use a pawn. We're going to draw a pawn for B. And now minus 15, right? I'm using a red, but if you are just using your pencil, you're going to make that a minus 15 or a negative 15 in there. Equals now a positive 11 over here. So there's not a negative sign on this one. If we had the blocks, it would be green. Okay, now again, we're still same goal. We want to get this pawn by itself. And so in order to do that, I need a negative 15 over here. So for this case, when you have not matching on the same side, we use something called a zero pair. So a zero pair is a positive and a negative of the same value, and you can add them to any side you want, right? But we want to add a zero pair to this side because we need to get rid of this negative 15. So I'm allowed to do that, and I'm going to show it as a separate step. But eventually you might do this all in one step. Okay, so my next step I'm going to do, I keep the pawn and the negative 15 on the left side. And then I still have this 11, But now I'm going to add a zero pair. And the zero pair I'm going to use is a negative 15, right? Because I need to take those off. But in order to add that to one side only, I also need to add its opposite of a positive 15. Because that's worth 0 then. It's like adding 0 to that side. Okay, so now is there something I can take off of both sides? The answer is yes. We can take, if we were to physically do this, we would take those red 15 cubes off. So let's cancel those. And now, do we really have the answer? And we do. This pawn is by itself. And it is equal to now, not 11, not 15, but the sum of those. So we add them together. So 11 plus 15 is a total of 26 positives. And so that's our answer. So that's telling us that B, in this case, is equal to 26 in our equation. And that's the answer. Again, we want to check this. So what we do is we put it up here in the equation. Is 26 minus 15 actually equal to 11? And so you can, if you want, you can do it out, this way to check. 26, so 6 minus 5 is 1, 2 minus 1 is 1. Yep, that checks out. We say our check is the left side 11 is equal to 11. Okay, let's try again because it's kind of a lot with the negatives. Let's do another one with these higher numbers. Okay, 22 equals y minus 24. So you want to start again with your beam and you want to draw in what you see. So I have a positive 22 on the left side. And then I have a y, so I'm going to use a blue pawn. And I have a minus 24, so I'm going to use, I'm going to draw it in red, but you want to put a negative sign in front of that with the 24, like that. So that's how we're going to set it up. Okay, which side do we want to remove something from? We want to remove something this time from the right side because, again, we want to get the blue pawn all alone. So to remove a negative 24, I don't have any negatives over here. So what do I do? Well, my only option is to add a zero pair over here. So again, I'm going to do this as a second step. Okay, and so we have, still this is the same, our blue pawn, our red negative 24. And we still have the green 22, the positive 22. But I want to be able to cancel a red negative 24. So I can add that over here. But what else do I need to add? I would also need to add a positive 24 to make it a zero pair. Okay, now let's look at what I've got. I can take this red 24 off of both sides now because they are the same value. So I'm pretending I take those off, I cancel those, and now my blue pawn is alone over here on the right, and it is equal to not 22, not 24, but we're going to do the sum. We're going to add those up. So 22 plus 24 gives me 46 as a total. So that means that 46 is really my y value in this equation here, and that is our answer. Again, we want to check, want to make sure those answers are correct. So we write in 22. Does 22 actually equal 46 minus 24 is the question. So again, if you don't know that in your head, it's okay to do it on the side. 6 minus 4 is 2. And 4 minus 2 is 2. And so we did get 22 equal to 22 here. And that's our check. And that's how we do it with the larger numbers when our blocks don't go up that high. Okay, if you have questions, make sure you email me, Mrs. Richards, or one of the other math teachers, Miss Ramirez, Miss Patma, Miss Dickinson, and we will help you out. I hope you are doing well with this and you have a great day, and we'll see you soon.